Hi everybody, it's me, Chris Parsons. How are you? I'm not at school, I'm actually just at home, but I've got the nice background. This session is for Year 10 families and students. We usually do this at school, but this year I'm going to be doing it through this video to give you a bit of an insight into what Year 11 and 12, which we call senior secondary, is all about, what to expect, and a little bit of an activity for you guys to do so we can best support you moving into next year. I hope you're all well at home. I'm now going to share my screen and go through a little bit of a presentation. So you can stop and start this video whenever you like, but hopefully it gives you an idea into what senior secondary is like at Jackson. Okay, there we go. So yes, we call Year 11 and 12 senior secondary. That means it's the final 2 years of school for you, but you're actually in a class where you'll be some Year 11s and some Year 12s mixed together. Here's a couple of photographs of some of our previous graduates who've been doing a little bit of work and work experience, some part-time jobs there to see. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what senior secondary is, a little bit of an overview of the two qualifications that we offer, what off-site training we do, what travel training and independent skills looks like for us, getting prepared for Year 11 and 12. So that's that little bit of homework I need you to do ready. Some student and support, parental supports that we offer, and then any questions, which is most likely going to be coming after this. So usually whilst we're live at school, I can answer them questions, but today we'll have to do them a little bit later. Okay. Just quickly, these are our school vision and values. Very, very important to us in senior secondary. We stand by these and live and breathe them every single day. So we're all about developing the futures of these young people. So what do you want to do in the future? Creating new and many opportunities for you to take part in and learn from. We're all about inspiring your potential to be the best you can be. Okay. So very, very, very important values there. That we stand by and actually just do every single day in every lesson and every opportunity we have. Okay, the learning areas. So pretty simple and nothing too extreme or different there. However, with numeracy and literacy, yes, we continue to develop that skill, but we start to apply it a lot more directly to the real world. So for an example, numeracy, less classroom maths activities and more actual application to real life circumstance. So things like budgeting, tax, FPOS, a lot of them practical numeracy skills that are probably going to become more needed in your adult life. And they are a lot more of our focus in senior secondary. Personal development skills are very important to us. Independence skills, so again, that travel training, doing things for yourself, less reliant on staff support because we want to set you up for success post-school. And then probably the biggest change for you is a real step up in terms of the amount of work-related and industry skills that we deliver and teach. So that's often off-site, work experience opportunities, TAFE training, things like that, registered courses. We really step up on that side of things in Year 11 and 12. Okay, here's my little pink car. Yes, I don't own this car, but I thought it was a little bit of a fun thing to put in. And this just shows you a little bit of a journey that you'll go through in your vehicle across the 2 years in senior secondary. So we've got a lot of work experience, recognized training. We'll meet your individual interests as best we can, develop your independence. Yes, we do a lot of travel training as well. And again, that practical literacy and numeracy development. We do a lot of careers development. So we do a lot of work with you individually around what you want to do when you leave school. So I'll support you and your families around that and support your decisions. And again, volunteering. Okay, we've got two qualifications that we offer. Okay, so the first one is the ASDAN certificate. ASDAN stands for quite a complicated thing, so that's why it's easy to say ASDAN, but ASDAN actually stands for Awards Scheme Development Accreditation Network, which is a mouthful, hence the reason ASDAN is much easier for us to say. It is very applied learning in what it's about. It provides students who need that little bit more support to have success. The aim is to meet their individual needs. And there's a little bit more of a focus on developing their independent living skills. So being able to be more independent in the way they get about their business. Okay, VCAL, our second qualification that we offer. Again, applied learning in nature. So we're applying them skills. we do the VCAL Foundation curriculum. VCAL stands for the Victorian Certificate of Applied Learning, but VCAL is much easier to say, obviously. We start to reduce the amount of staff support for the students intentionally, and there's a higher level of independence required from the students. So obviously, students who need that high level of support probably better suited to an ASDAN program, but for students who are more independent in their work, we would be putting them probably towards the VCAL certificate as a better fit. There's a lot more focus in the VCAL certificate on when they finish school, moving directly into employment or further education straight away. So again, a little bit more expectation on the students to be more independent in their decisions in the VCAL program. Both programs though do meet students' needs and run together, and some students do have a little bit of time in both programs. It just depends on how much support they need, and we work that out with the Year 10 staff and their assessments to do that. Okay, I did mention before we spend a lot of time off-site, so that means outside of the school gates, and that's done intentionally because the school doesn't always have the facilities we need to develop the skills for the students now that they get into that 17, 18-year-old kind of age group. So this is an example of a timetable, just one of many timetables. So students have an individualized version of this. It might be different to the friends in their class, which is okay because it's set towards hopefully their interests. This example here shows Monday, Wednesday, Friday in blue. They're all off-site, so it shows really quite a high level of days where we're not actually at Jackson School. We still meet in the mornings generally at school, but once we've done the role, we generally then head out to one of the options it shows. Maybe it could be a work experience or a travel training opportunity. Again, depends on the student's choices and learning needs. The black writing on the days on Tuesday and Thursday just shows that they're still at school on some days, and they still have specialists and they do their school work, literacy, numeracy on those days whilst at school. It's just another example here of another student. Again, the days are slightly different, the days they're on-site and off-site, but again, shows you quite a high level of off-site learning happening. Again, 3 days there for this student. Okay, recognized training. So certainly if you're a VCAL student, this is essential. You don't have a choice. You have to do this to complete your VCAL certificate. But if you're an ASDAN, some of you guys are involved in this as well. So recognized training basically is accredited training that we do with an RTO or a TAFE offsite, and the students get accredited certificates or units of competency towards their qualification. It certainly develops their independence, gives them an industry experience, so they're actually using industry standards and facilities rather than being at school. It can often be up to 2 days a week. It's obviously off-site. It's compulsory for the VCAL students. We try to meet students' choice and interest as much as possible. So I'll talk about that in a minute, but we try to offer as many different courses as possible so every student gets something that they're really interested in. Okay, our I guess highest level of qualification that we do in the recognized training area is a school-based apprenticeship. This is often just for Year 12 students, but some Year 11s do this, so I won't cancel you all out. They're offered at Certificate 3 and Certificate 2, and they're full certificates. So that means you do the whole certificate. You're expected to do that 2 days a week, and they require quite a high level of independence, academic, and maturity skills to be qualified for these. So again, we'll talk about this a little bit later, but students doing the school-based apprenticeship, it's a great experience, but it's a very challenging one too. Most of our students in Year 11 will do what we call vocational training in education, or VET. So that's a qualification where you don't get the full certificate, but you have a really good taster into a field of industry that's quite different and challenging as well. Often this is just 1 day a week, and you don't do the full certificate. So things like horticulture, hospitality, hair and beauty, engineering, fashion, sport, retail, logistics and warehousing. There's quite a lot of options, and there's more every single year. So these ones here are great steps into vocational training for you, and you get to hopefully try something that you're a little bit interested in. Okay, workplace learning. This is the biggest thing that changes for you. So 1 day a week for both years, you're involved in work experience. We have 3 different stages or levels that we have, depending on the level of support that you need. Okay, so level 3 would be for students who need, I guess, that higher or less, sorry, less level of support required. So level 3 is for independent placement. So that's students who can individually go out on work placement 1 day a week for a whole term to an employer locally. It could be from anything from a retail Coles or a Kmart right through to a mechanics or a childcare centre or even a school, depending on what the student's chosen or would be interested in. So that obviously requires a lot of maturity, independence, and those students obviously receive less support whilst there because they're actually there on their own. So that's our most independent type of work experience. We would like many of our year 12s to get to that stage by the time they graduate, but for some students, that's quite a big step. So most of our students end up in the middle, which is level 2. And that's all about work experience where there's a low level of support from staff, but we will create opportunities offsite where students go in small groups with staff to do work experience. That could be any of the list that's shown on the screen, but the idea of this work experience is that, yes, we have staff to get you there, but whilst you're there, unless something really, you need a lot of help, you'll probably be left to do the work independently at that stage. So you're actually in the workplace with regular employers, doing your jobs that you've been asked to do, and we're there just in case anything doesn't work out for you. So the idea is that you're working independently, and we use that as an assessment to work out whether you can then move into the independent work experiences, which we talked about before. But for some students, that's even maybe a little bit of a stretch straight away. So we have another level, which is our higher support need. So for students who need that extra support, where we have smaller groups and more support from our staff, and we again go off site to do this. We don't do it at school. And there's some examples, and the picture above is of 2 students over at the Western Health Sunshine Hospital. They're doing some garden maintenance there. So they've got set tasks as registered volunteers in work experience, and doing their jobs weekly. So again, another great opportunity, and students will again have this 1 day a week in their program for both years to develop that work and employability skills. There's some examples there of our higher support. We also go to Blackwood Camp and set up the camps for the week ahead, and some landscaping jobs. So yeah, we're not going there to camp, but we go there to set up camps for other schools to attend. So that's a good work experience. Here's some of the medium or the level 2. So this is for students who need that little bit of help, but pretty independent when we get there. These are some industries and organizations we work with across the week. And finally, independent work experience. Here's 3 pictures of students out at, I think, Coles, a hairdresser's and a restaurant. Obviously, these students are on their own there. We go and do visits, but yeah, they've got their jobs assigned by their supervisor at the workplace, and have a lot of success with it. And that finally leads us into, I guess, the employment. So we know that employment is particularly challenging for students, but we certainly encourage it. So when opportunities arise for some of our students, and it's not everybody, it's just a limited number, but some students might get offered a part-time job or have a family connection, and we certainly support that. And if students are really wanting to pursue that further, we do a lot of resume writing and interview preparation whilst at school. And if you need help finding a job, we can connect you in with a disability employment service who can then support you find, I guess, positions that are vacant locally. All right, travel training and independent travel. So for all of our classes, students are doing travel of some level, whether it's going to their excursions or to their programs. We'll be generally using public transport as much as possible. So using the Mikey. Initially, I guess that's supported by staff, but the intention is for many of our year 11 and 12 students, especially if they're in the BCAL program, is to start to become an independent traveller and get off the school bus. And the reason we find that this is important is it's quite vital for some of your post-school options. So if you're thinking about getting a job or going to TAFE, developing this skill is essential, as you know, it could be seen as, if you can't do this skill, then are you ready for some of them options? It also develops your maturity and confidence. So we think it's absolutely vital for year 11 and 12s to start to develop this skill. We do that through class excursions. We do that through individual sessions where a student might work with a staff member to and from home. And then we start to have that chat with families and sign the paperwork. If you become an independent traveller whilst at Jackson, we give you a Mikey card as, I guess, a reward for that. So you get a Mikey card that is free of charge that you can use every single day so that it doesn't cost you to come to and from school. So that's a real perk of the programme. Okay, we do some additional qualifications through the year. Things like driver education, very popular. We do that every single year, which is a great program for students who are interested in learning to drive. We do a lot of transition days over at TAFE, so we get to meet the TAFE teachers and ex-students and see what TAFE is about as an option post-school. We do other pathway tours. We also do a lot of employability skills through the year. Sometimes we do short courses like coffee barista courses, first aid, responsible source of alcohol, etc. Okay, homework. The question I always get asked, what homework do we do in year 11 and 12? Well, the good thing is there's no official homework unless you've had lots of days off and you need to use that time to do catch up. So there is some catch up work if you've missed things, but generally speaking, we don't set homework because we strongly recommend your involvement in the following. Okay, we want you to do this at home instead of homework, basically. Travel training. Get out on the trains and the buses and get used to using them and be more confident so you become an independent traveller. Do this with your family and friends as much as you can. Also, we want you to try and get involved in the local community. So if you are into sports and things like that, great, get involved with a local club, Auskick or whatever it might be. I don't know, whatever's around in your local area. If it's not, you're not a sporty person, then get involved with the local library or other recreational things that might be happening. Okay, you might want to do some volunteering, for example, at a local op shop. I don't know, whatever suits you. But that local connection to the community is important to develop your networks. And it never know where it might end up. It could end up in a part-time job or anything through the connections you meet. And finally, if a part-time job is possible, yeah, it's something that we would value and support in the student's development. Okay. A large part of my job is to work with you as a student and your families in supporting you in making that tough decision of what's next after Jackson School. So that time will come around very, very fast. You'll be 18 or 17 and a half very, very quickly in year 12, and you'll be thinking, whoa, what's next? I've been at Jackson for such a long time. I will be there to support you make those decisions. So we do things like an expo, we do individual sessions with students and families, open days and transition days. With a lot of these organizations you can see on the bottom, but there's so many more than that as well. And I'll be there to support you and guide you along the journey. So don't feel like that's something to be stressed about. Some common pathways for our students after year 12 include going to TAFE. Some students go into apprenticeships. Some students want to get a job and go into employment services. And some students need the NDIS and packages to support them into some community services and things like that. So for every single student at whatever level or stage they're at, there's a pathway, and I'll support you along that journey. Okay. Getting prepared for year 11 and 12. Okay. Here are some important things for you to get ready so that you can be successful in year 11 and 12. So this is a little bit of a task I would like you to do before the end of the year. Okay. It's important for you to get a tax file number. Okay. So a lot of you will start to do courses and apprenticeships and maybe even part-time jobs in the next couple of years, and they will require that you've got a tax file number as a piece of identification, but also so that you can obviously get paid. Very important. The next one is a unique student identifier, or USI. So for any students doing any course, as simple as a coffee barista course right through to doing an apprenticeship, you will need a USI. You can't register for that course unless you have this number. So if you type in on Google USI number and follow through the steps, you'll get one very quickly. And once you get it, it'd be great if you could share that with the school so that we can put it into your file, and then we know where it is if we ever need it for any of the things that you're enrolling in. And a disability support pension. So that's that purple and blue card at the bottom of the screen through Centrelink. All of our students who are 16 and over should be eligible for this, but Centrelink will make this particularly challenging, and the forms and things are particularly lengthy, but please, I think this is an essential thing to get started. It will certainly help them with a little bit of fortnightly income, but it also will reduce significantly a lot of the fees of courses and things that you might wish to do post-school. So I'd say that's something to get on with. if you need some help with that, or you're finding it particularly challenging, or you've been knocked back, Christine Tidswell at school is quite knowledgeable about this process and might be worth having a bit of a chat to her about. The Access Travel Pass is the next thing on the list. This is a Mikey card with your own photograph permanently on the back of it and your details. This isn't for everybody, and I'll just kind of quickly summarize who's eligible for this. It's for students who are accessing or need to access public transport, but maybe it's the challenges of the system they're particularly having trouble with. So it might be the stress and anxiety in ticket inspectors. It might be struggling to touch on and touch off, or being able to top up the Mikey card, for example. If your disability affects you with that, maybe it'd be something worth applying for. But you will need a doctor to sign off on some of the sections of that for you to have that. So that's not a decision made by school, it's made by the Metro people. But that link there takes you to the application for that particular form. I'd encourage you to do it, but we do find that students who are relatively independent often don't receive this card, but you know, it's worth a challenge at least. The next one is the companion card. Many of you might already have this. It just allows whoever is your support person, whether it's a parent or a brother, sister, or family member, to take you to places like maybe the movies or a sporting event, and the support person will get in for free. It's pretty good, so that you can access things just like anybody else. And finally, the extra one at the bottom is the key pass. So that's just identification for students. A lot of students now, they're getting to that 16, 17, 18-year-old age group, would like some identification and don't have a driver's license or anything like that. So sometimes this key pass is a nice piece of formal ID you can get through the post office, and you can keep it in your wallet as some identification. Okay, so throughout the year, I do various sessions for students and families around about pathways. So these are 4 sessions that I run every single year. And that's the kind of month that it happens in. So session 1 usually happens in December this year. So this will be an overview of pathways. So that's open to anybody across the school, but it's probably most aimed at that year 10, year 11, year 12 family kind of group area. As it's closer to the time. Session 1, is an overview. So it's a bit of an overview of all the different pathways and supports that students generally go towards post-school. Session 2 is in the following year, in March. So that's obviously our Careers Expo. We run that in the hall where we have over 30 providers in there, doing stalls, showing students and families what they can offer them after school. It could be anything from a TAFE to an employment service to an NDIS provider. Session 3 is more focused on certain providers coming into school of an evening and running an information session around employment and further education pathways that students can go into post-school. But for some students, that's probably not their focus post-school. Maybe they need more support than that straight away. And session 4 is a session where, again, in an evening in May, where some of our support services who focus on that higher level of support come in and discuss those options with families and students. Okay, the NDIS has become a larger influence in our daily work, and we've developed a really good relationship with them and the Brotherhood St. Lawrence in Sunshine, and we run a series of sessions to support families through the NDIS process as well. So usually in term 1 we do the basic session, or the understanding the NDIS. So that's for families who are perhaps starting off on the NDIS journey, who don't know much about it and need a little bit of help understanding it. Many families then come to session 2, which is the planning process. So that's for families who perhaps are now on the scheme, but or going into their first planning meeting to understand what to take, who they can take, and what goals to set for the young person. And then finally, we do a session in term 3 usually for families to understand how to then go through the review process of their plan, and if they're having challenges spending some of the allocations within their plan, how to do that and make changes and things like that. So again, 3 great sessions, very informative. And the Brotherhood St. Lawrence and NDIS run those at school of an evening. Okay, this is the bit where I normally ask any questions. Obviously, you can't reply to that. So if you have any questions, you can contact me, or you can contact your teachers through Seesaw or Teams. and then hopefully I can answer them for you. But hopefully back in term 4, I'll be around and you can ask me them face to face. Okay, the final bit I'm just going to bring up on my screen is I want to share with you a little bit of homework. Okay, so I'm going to actually ask your teachers to send this through on Seesaw for you. It is a short little piece of work, and it's all about me getting to know you a little bit more. Okay, so that the VCAL and ASDAN teachers and myself can support you best in year 11. Okay, so it's thinking about year 11 and 12. And first of all, I just want to, if you want to, put a picture of yourself there, just so I know who you are and I can recognize you. But if you don't want to put a picture, that's up to you. Pop your name and your class on. And then the first little section here is things I would like to learn more about. So in year 11 and 12, I've talked about lots of things, but I don't know anything about what you're interested in. So it'd be really good if you could circle or tick any of these pictures that perhaps are things that you like or you're interested in. This will allow me to try and design a course or a program around your interests. Okay. Sometimes there might be nothing you like there. And if there's something you want that isn't on the list, please put it down the bottom in the other section. It then asks you about work experience. So what have you done already? Okay, firstly, have you done any of the things like St. Bernadette's or the cafe program or hands-on learning? Put them in here, 1, 2, 3. And then next is things you might like to try in year 11 and 12. So here's some of the work experience things that we do in year 11 and 12. IT recycling, horticulture, warehousing, Sunshine Hospital, food processing. And at the bottom, independent work placements. So individual businesses like Rebel Sports and KFC and McDonald's, places like that. So if there's anything there that you think, oh, I'd like to try that, please type it in. The final bit really is about travel skills. So where are you with your travel skills? How do you get to school? Can you circle either the bus, you come to school on the school bus, are you a parent pickup, or do you come on with a Mikey independently on your own already? How confident are you on this scale, 1 to 10? Okay, are you very nervous about public transport, or are you very confident about public transport? Or are you somewhere in the middle? Okay, I'll let you decide. And lastly, yes or no, do you want to become an independent traveller in year 11 and 12? Well, if it's yes, please circle yes. Or if no, it's not important to you, please circle no. Okay, last little bit. If there's anything that we haven't talked about or anything else you'd like to learn in year 11 and 12, please put it in this section here. So if there's something that we haven't talked about or you really would like to do, put it in here and then we can know and we can design something to hopefully support what you want. Okay. Once you've completed it, please send it back to your teacher and they will give it to me. All right. Well, that's enough for me. Hopefully you'll enjoy the video and hopefully you can do them activities for me. All right. Good luck and all the best. See ya.